What's wrong with using written syllable types in intervention? Our writing system is not speech written down. The primary function of our writing system is to convey meaning. The principles of etymology and morphology govern the sounds or phonology of words. Therefore, it makes no sense to begin with the sounds, especially not in isolation or without the context of a written word. Many intervention and instructional programs use something called written syllable types. They're not actual linguistic elements. They were conceptualized in an attempt to make it easier for children to learn to read. However, there are many concerns about using them with any learner, especially learners with dyslexia or language disorders. The syllable patterns are not reliable or consistent. They range from about 18 to 78% for words with more than one syllable. Even when they technically work, the amount of procedural memory to recall the steps and declarative memory to recall the types of patterns and definitions of the syllable types is comparable to the cognitive load of reading text for comprehension. This overloads children with lower working memory and processing speed and challenges with executive functioning or attention. When you try to teach dyslexic children that they can sound words out, you set them up for failure. It creates a very bad habit that is hard to break later on when sounded out strategies stop working. Eventually, many families using these methods realize the sounded out programs only got them so far. Hear me out. Thinking that we are merely writing down speech sounds results in incredible frustration for dyslexic children. Spelling's first job is to represent meaning. Let's explore some evidence of this. Here's a list of words from a lesson in a popular program that uses written syllable types. The comments about this list seen on a social media thread revealed just how chaotic this type of instruction is for dyslexic learners, or any learner for that matter. Many said that they were VCV words, and that meant that the first vowel would be a long, clear vowel, but watch out, sometimes it can be a schwa. Others said the tricky part would be spelling the second vowel because it's schwad. The tricky part? They had no idea what to do with loser, so one person suggested they leave it out and teach it in isolation. Geesh, I wonder what they do with all those homophones and homographs. Look, here's the deal. You shouldn't have to cherry pick words for your rules to work. What child can sort all this out and remember it? More importantly, what dyslexic child can sort all this out and remember it while they're reading and spelling? I actually know the answer to this thanks to all the children I've worked with for the past 7.5 years. My clinical evidence showed none were able to read or spell with written syllable types. And no matter what age they were when they found me, they all started at the same place, the very beginning of learning how our writing system actually works. A lot of unlearning needed to happen for those who had been exposed to phonics-based programs and programs that used written syllable types. This sadly added a lot of suffering and time to their learning journey, but the good news is that the children came out on top in the end. All along the way, I heard shout-outs like, "Why didn't they teach me this before?" And "Why don't teachers know this stuff? I can't believe I wasted so much time doing that other stuff." So, since we see that things become impossible when we try to make the English writing system into something that it's not, let's take a look at some examples of what does actually work. What actually leads to orthographic mapping and a clearer understanding of the sounds in words. Let's start with the one they wanted to leave out, loser. Let's begin with the spelling, not the pronunciation, L-O-S-E-R. I will show you the result of a word study after going through the 4 questions. What does it mean? Be lost, perish. How is it built? The base is L-O-S-E and has an E-R suffix, so L-O-S-E plus E-R is rewritten as L-O-S-E-R. What are the relatives? Well, there are some siblings, losing, loses, and there's a cousin, lost. Check out the shift in pronunciation for the past tense. This happens with strong verbs. We also have lost, less, loose, forlorn. Now moving on, what are the letters doing? L-O-S-E-R. L spells ul. O is spelling oo, just as it does in do, move, prove, and through. S spells z. ER spells No guessing. When you explore a family with a child, you do detective work together. There's no guessing and no pressure, no cruelty, no lies. Let's take one more. Punish. P-U-N-I-S-H. What does it mean? Correct. Inflict a penalty upon. How is it built? P-U-N-E plus I-S-H is rewritten as P-U-N-I-S-H. What are the relatives? Punish, punishing, punished, and punitive. I wonder what syllable type is taught to deal with this shift in pronunciation across the family. Further evidence syllable types don't work, aren't effective, and punish students who have a long history of trauma and suffering. Using written syllable types is like using guess and check in math. Guessing is for people who do not have knowledge. Guessing is for people who don't have correct data. It's like playing the gimme five when you pull your hand back. Or like Lucy pulling the football away every time Charlie Brown tries to kick it. How do you give people rules that don't always work? It's mean. This is cruel. Educational negligence at its best and educational malpractice at its worst. When children learn all the spellings that are in a family, they learn about these pronunciation shifts, they practice with them, embed them into their oral language, and then learn to read and spell them. There is no assumption that dyslexic children will be able to pick up a book and sound their way through words they don't yet use in their own vocabulary. Now that's something to celebrate. Rules should be universal and always true. When talking about the patterns in English orthography, the preferred term is convention. This brings an understanding that we're not talking about rules. We're talking about governing principles that make our writing system regular, predictable, and understandable. That's precisely what children learn when they study with an SWI practitioner. The writing system is regular, predictable, and understandable.